Now we are live. I will now call the January 15, 2025 City of Maplewood Parks and Recreation Commission meeting to order. We will take a roll call. Charlie?
Here.
Mallory?
Here.
Todd?
Here.
Vicky?
Here.
Craig?
Here.
Terry?
Here.
Myself is here. Monica?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
Okay, we are just missing Nishal and Kimmy. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
That motion.
Oh.
Don't think you can. Second?
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, approval of the minutes from November 20th, 2024, the last time we met. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to peruse them. I will entertain a motion to accept unless there's any changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes. On to new business. We have a brand-new commissioner in our midst, and we will now commence with the swearing in.
Thank you, Chair and Commission. Our new Parks Commissioner is Russell Smith, and he is going to read a little bit of his paragraph for being sworn in himself. We're going to do it that way, a little more informal than usual, and then once he has done that, we will sign the papers, and he will officially be one of the Parks Commission. So with that, Russell, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I, Russell Smith, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the State of Minnesota and faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Commissioner of Parks and Recreation Commission in the City of Maplewood, in the County of Ramsey, and the State of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability. So help me God.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome to the Parks Commission. And then, just because you're new, we're going to start, I'll put you on the spot first. If you would tell the commissioners a little bit about yourself, and then everybody else will take their turn and introduce themselves to you and tell you a little about them. So anything you'd want us to know, just a couple of things.
So I guess I got this position because I worked for the Department of Natural Resources for 26 years in the Scientific and Natural Areas program, which was statewide with like about 157 sites. In my spare time, I enjoy camping, hunting, fishing, restoring cars, and hanging out with my dog. That's about it.
All right, well, thank you, welcome. And I think we'll just go down the line. So Monica, you're next.
Hi, I'm Monica. I've been living in the city of Maplewood for almost 5 years now. And at that time, I wanted to get more involved with local government and community outreach. And I saw a position open, so I wanted to be part of this organization and just be more involved with the community and the beautiful natural resources we have here. So that's a little bit about me.
My name is Jason. I am the interim chair at the moment. I really enjoy community volunteering, and that's a big part of the reason why I'm here. I was the vice chair of the Forest Lake, Minnesota Parks, Lakes, and Trails Commission, and really enjoyed that. And so when I came to Maplewood, I wanted to get on here, but there was no opening. So I spent a couple years on Historic Preservation Commission, and then a spot opened up here, and I applied, and I'm sitting here today. So that's my story. I'm also the locally the president of the Maplewood North Lions Club.
I am Terry. I've been on the Parks and Rec a little over 11 years now. I came to the Parks and Rec because I had coached for years for the city. I managed hockey for years. I was a Girl Scout leader for years of a troop of 21 girls. And then my kids grew up and graduated, and I needed something new to do. And Audra gave me a call, and I was happy to come, and I've never left since.
My name is Craig Brannon. I've been on the commission for about 30 years. Only. I like biking and trails, and that's what motivated me to join in the first place, and that's about it.
Hey, Russell, welcome. My name is Vicky. I have been on the commission for, I don't actually know, maybe 3-4 years now. I've lived in Maplewood since 2009, and I joined because I really enjoy the parks and trails, and I have 2 young kids, and we like to, get out and enjoy nature as well, so.
Hello, I'm Todd, and I'm a student at North High School, and I joined because I worked with Audra on my Eagle Scout project, and I thought it was really interesting. So the opportunity came up, and I decided to join so I could learn more about how it worked.
Hi, my name is Mallory, and I also joined because I really wanted to get more involved in the community and have some governmental experience. And this opportunity was presented to me at my school, also North High School.
I am Charlie. I am also from North High School. I got involved with this because I saw it at my at the meeting at my school, and they assembled us for schools who wanted to join, and I decided, I want to get some leadership experience, and I love my local parks, so I decided I'd show up, and now I'm here.
Right there. And I'll go last. I'm Audra Robbins. I'm the Parks and Natural Resources Manager. I've worked for the city in this department in one way or the other for the last 25 years, and I love what I do. I love working with the commission. I'm the staff liaison for this group, and they do a lot of good, important work, so I'm very happy to be here with all of you. So, again, welcome, Russell.
With that, we will move on to E2, the 2025 Parks and Recreation Commission goal setting.
Okay. If I could have the computer screen, please. All right, well, we are, believe it or not, in a brand new year, and that means new goals for the commission. It's really hard to believe. And this is the time where we start the goals. I think, depending how this group does, you might get to a point where you're ready to submit goals for drafting up and bringing back to you at the February meeting just to finalize. Usually what we do is kind of go through the goals and brainstorm and at this meeting, and you suggest changes or new goals, and then I will keep track of what the commission is wanting me to put down, and then I will type it up and bring it back for you to review, and then we can adopt them at the February meeting. That's typically how it goes. So for review, I did include the 2024 Parks and Recreation goals in your packet, and that is what's up on the screen now for review. And there's really no right or wrong way to do it, but typically I've gone through and we just reviewed the goals from the year before and then kind of turned it over to the group, and we can either go line by line to say, hey, this is a good goal, we want to keep it, we want to tweak it, or if somebody has a new goal that they want to add, feel free to contribute. And now that we do have, student commissioners here too, it would be great to get your feedback on the goals and what you think as well. Just getting some of your opinions, we would love to hear them. So don't feel that you can't join in and add your opinions to the mix. So I'll just briefly read through them and then kind of turn it over, and Chair, if you want to then discuss with the commission of how you want to go through it after that. For a little review, the Parks and Rec Commission identified the following goals and made a point to tie them to our strategic priorities, which are part of the strategic plan that the city has. The PRC acknowledges that successful completion of these goals may be affected by budgetary constraints or other issues. And the goals for 2024 were continue to review the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan and Park Improvement Plans, continue to look for new ways to engage in community outreach and be involved in at least 2 community events, take a bus tour of our park system, hold a meeting to discuss connectivity and trails with neighboring cities in Ramsey County, hold a meeting dedicated to review the implementation process of the Nature Center and Programming Task Force recommendations and receive regular updates as well, value youth perspective and recruit, appoint student PRC members, receive annual updates from the MCC-YMCA as well as updates from community groups and partners to look for new ways to work together, and then review and evaluate the current and future signage in our parks and open spaces. So those were the goals from last year. And And many of those, you've accomplished and we've done good things with. Some that are still a work in progress, but with that, I will turn it over to you, Jason, if you want to.
If no one objects, I think we could probably go line by line and discuss and see if we want to continue working on any of these, or, expand upon the ones that we've already done, or maybe put some aside. And then once we're through that, if anybody has any ideas or discussion points for new goals, we can open that to the group. Does that work? Okay. The first one is continue to review the Parks and Rec System Master Plan. I think that's a work in progress and continues to be, and I certainly think we should keep doing that.
I have a comment on that, though. Isn't it the year to redo it?
Chair, members of the commission, it's not the year, the best practices is, between every 10, 15 years, you should look to review the master plan. We're not currently set to start that process in 2025, but it's in the CIP for, that we're going to be looking at doing this. We have gotten through, tonight we'll be doing Chapter 5, Part 2. And other than that, there's Chapter 6, it's the last chapter that we haven't got through, and that's more like the toolkit on how to use the plan. So that'll be up to, the commission if we want to bring Chapter 6 and review this at, the February meeting. But then after that, we've gone through the entire plan, but we still always have park improvement plans, so that second half of the goal is always an ongoing process that we do, so that you might want to look at revamping Goal 1, because we have gotten through reviewing every chapter of it, and we will be done with that by February.
I think it makes sense for us to at least finish it, but it doesn't have to be one of our goals.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we can finish it in February, but we don't need to make it a goal because it'll be done in February. And then, of course, park improvement plans are always an ongoing discussion. Continue to look for new ways to engage in community outreach, be involved in at least 2 community events. I think we could probably increase 2 to either 3 or 4.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, we did make it to at least 2 this year.
Right. And
it
I don't
seems-
think it was too much of a stretch to make it to
Right.
2. We could probably do, should we say 4?
Yeah, and I'd like to add, I've heard from several residents of Maplewood that they were really interested in how we did the fall event this year with the fireworks, but they're really concerned. They've heard we're going to continue that, and they'd like that, but they would like to see, we still have a 4th of July event. So we want to make sure we continue our 4th of July event without fireworks, we've decided, and then do a fall event with fireworks. I'd like to make sure we try to continue that. I heard a lot of comments from different people in Maplewood about that.
Got it.
The other thing about that is, I think it would be nice if we could get name tags with just Parks and Rec
Yep.
or something under there, so people know who we are and why we're there, and they know that they can talk to us about certain things.
Right.
What do you guys
Yeah, I
think
think
about
that's
that?
good.
You
idea.
want name tags with your actual name, because I always have those lanyards that say Parks Commission.
Yeah, maybe just Parks Commission.
Yeah,
is
we do
fine.
have those for, and my bad if the last one, maybe you didn't get them, but we've got lanyards that have like artwork for the different events, and it'll say Parks Commissioner on it, so can make sure that we have them. We could also look, at one time they had T-shirts that they had, I don't know where they're at with that, but if people are interested in the Maplewood T-shirts.
We've had name tags in the past, and
Yeah.
they tend to disappear. It's hard to keep track of them. I think
Sure.
the lanyard
It's just easier to
is-
put the lanyard on, because then you can wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
like the T-shirt idea, because when we're at a community event, if we're all dressed similarly, at least in T-shirt, then maybe everybody could understand that, we're a cohesive unit, group,
Sure.
et cetera.
I think if we do a T-shirt, we should do a bright color so we stand out.
T-shirts.
Yeah, or maybe the lanyard, I remember it just kept flying around, and maybe just even those clip-on plastic
Sure,
ones or something
It
like
did
that.
get twisted.
Yes.
sure,
It was windy and
Wind,
it
yeah.
flies.
yeah.
Take a bus tour of our park system. I think we've done that for several years in a row now, and I think it's always a good thing. So yeah, absolutely. Keep it on the list as far as I'm concerned. Hold a meeting to discuss connectivity and trails with neighboring cities in Ramsey County. We didn't do that this year,
That
did we?
me's actually happening in February. It
Okay.
got delayed and,
So we
Yeah.
will be doing,
and I had put in the email too, and our public works
Right.
director was out, but he's already committed, and
Okay.
we're committed to having that meeting, but it just didn't work with people's schedules till February, so.
well, we can keep it as a goal since it's already on the books.
All
That'll be
right.
done next month. A meeting dedicated to review the implementation progress of the Nature Center and Programming Task Force recommendations and receive regular updates. Did we do that meeting this year? Okay.
Yep.
I think we can probably, I don't know if we need to make it a goal since we already had the meeting, but receiving regular updates is always a good thing.
Are those still relevant? I'm wondering if those are still being looked at in other areas, or is it?
Yeah, Chair members of the commission, they always are. I mean, there's quite a few, but it just, there's not, they're kind of ongoing all the time. We're always looking at those when we're factoring in things that we can do. And so that's why having it as a goal is a way to keep them, relevant. And that's why we usually Neil or someone will come and update you. And then in the annual report, we always try to put what happened during the year tied to those goals, just so we give council updates on that as well.
Okay.
So, yep.
Number 6 was accomplished. Did we put any kind of term limits on
We
that?
didn't. We
just
didn't.
kind of left it open?
We did, yeah. And that would be, of course, we'd like student commissioners to stay. It doesn't mean, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
If I remember correctly, it was like a year term.
I thought there was.
Did we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we did.
I think
yeah.
it was a
Okay.
year term, you said.
Okay,
So then would it be a year from the month that they came on?
yeah.
Is that how that would work? What month was it? I don't even remember.
It was the March meeting that at least I was confirmed in.
Okay.
And then do they have the option to stay or be reelected or? how-
Yes, we can,
I know all three of us are seniors, and like I know me personally, I don't think I could do one more year because I'll be going off to
Right.
college, and I'm sure they're both going off
So
to
maybe we
college.
should put out a call again and see if we get some more candidates in
set
March.
up a new meeting.
And see
Yeah.
what happens. And, if anybody
Sure.
that's already on wants to reapply, that's acceptable. But if not, we can hopefully, if we do the same process, hopefully we get the same number of candidates.
Right?
We could also maybe, if we don't get enough replacements, we could, I don't know how we do that though, ask some to stay at least till the end of the school year.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, the goal at the time was just trying to get something in motion and have a year term, but yeah, extensions and then just see.
Yeah. Because if you'd like seniors, we could try and do like a partial term where you go till like August.
Right.
And then mid to late August is when people typically move out, so kind of August meeting would be the last one.
I think that's a good way
That's a
to
good
do
idea.
it moving
Right.
forward. So we
Transition,
can
yeah.
have, transition and not.
Yeah.
So do we want to put the call out in March or do we want to just say,
I think we should do
stay
it
till,
I
do
think
it
we
school
should.
year to school
earlier
year?
is better, and then you could maybe say it'll transition in
Okay, got it.
August. I mean.
So put the call out right away, but
Put that-
make
okay.
the transition time, I got
think-
it. That
I
makes
think-
sense.
Yeah, it took us a while to get it moving before.
Right,
right.
so-
That's a good idea.
How will we be planning on advertising that? Because I know all three of us, like, I think we all heard about it through like a session through our school. So how will we put out the word during the summer for them to prepare? Or will it be in September that we'll put the word out and then they'll apply in like the
What-
next month?
Sure, if I'm hearing correctly from the commission, we would actually be doing that in the upcoming months to secure people for, and it would be through the school. That seemed to be the most effective way when Commissioner Harris and Joe Sheeran came out to North and had that session, and to recruit juniors and seniors that would be interested, and then, but just letting them know that the term would start after the summer, like it would start in the fall. That way, we'd have enough time to get people on board and committed to doing it. Was that what you had?
I think maybe more like when these guys, when do you guys want to terminate your, like, the end of school year, or what are you thinking? I mean, I'm thinking maybe end of the school year and then,
Yeah, because we would just want to do it while school's in session. I think Mallory makes a good point. It's tougher to reach kids once the summer starts, but maybe even in May, just to have a session at school, say, hey, if you're interested, this opportunity will open up.
Yeah, and we could probably go to that session too
Yeah.
and talk about our experience.
That would be,
Great
that would
idea.
be wonderful.
Yep.
Great idea.
Yeah, I think advertising in the spring, but also something is like all of us are from North, and I don't know if you guys even went to Tartan, but like as much as I love North, you should like maybe get a more mixed sample of like students,
Yep.
like some from Tartan, some from North.
Yep.
I think we should do it earlier than, if you wait till May,
Sure.
I think you might want to do it in
Yeah.
March,
Yeah,
April.
yeah.
And just say it's going to transition.
Yep.
Because that gives you time to do what you need to do.
So plan to start the recruitment process in March.
Right.
And when we get some candidates locked in, just let them know this is not going to start until
Yep.
our
So we
current,
start them at August and give these guys a break their last month before they leave.
yeah, that
And
might
they'd
be a good
willing
idea.
to- I mean, more than welcome to come and sit and, but they wouldn't be able to, you know.
Did we reach out to Tartan last time or no?
We did. We reached out several places. The only
Okay.
place we did an in-person session, though, was at North, and that seemed
Okay.
to be very effective. So that was
Got
a,
it.
a learning experience we knew, because we put it out everywhere, and, but just physically going, Mark Harris and Joe went, and we had such a good response from North that we'd already had
Right.
quite a few that were interested, so that worked out well. But
Yeah.
yes.
Well, maybe we should add an in-person session at Tartan if it
Sure.
seems appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a plan for that tentatively. Receive annual updates from the YMCA as well as updates from community groups and partners to look for ways to work together. I know that we did hear from the YMCA this year. I think we could probably do with another update at some point in '25. And then as far as updates from community groups, what were we thinking in regard to that? Does anybody have any ideas? Specific groups that we could potentially hear from? I'm not sure.
I thought we heard from the groups that brought in the sports to
Yeah.
us,
Oh,
yeah.
Grab
Yep.
Sports.
That was
and
one, yep.
We had,
Uh,
someone,
I can't think of the rugby.
yep, rugby.
We heard from the rugby group.
We heard from them too late for us to go to the big event.
Right. All right, we'll try again this year.
We could always have TJ or someone from the
Yep.
historical farm come and speak. So yeah, there's, I think it's always good to have people, groups in the community come. We could have the watershed come and speak, on some of the projects we have upcoming too, so.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Leaving
goal.
this broad like this leaves it open for whatever groups we
Right.
can have,
Yeah.
but just make
Yep.
sure it's a goal to have outside groups come in, I think is why you left it broad
Right.
like that. The only one we called out specifically was the Y, because there was the commission felt really strongly they wanted to get regular updates from the YMCA and what was happening there, which is a great idea. And Alex is there now, and he's been there for a while, so I think he'd be more than happy to come back, in the beginning months of the year. I think that's when he came last time, was it April? So just kind of setting a time where he knows that this is when I'll come and update you on what's going on.
Who was in charge of reaching out to these
It would be
community
me.
groups? Okay. All right, so that will be good.
But if, commissioners, if there is a group that you are interested in hearing from, just send me an email, let me know, and then I can facilitate
Right.
that.
Yeah, I think we could do for some updates from the groups that we met with last year. I think TJ's a good one to bring in at some point this year, so yeah. All right, review and evaluate current and future signage in our parks and open spaces. I know we talked about that a lot last year, but I don't know how far we got on it. I don't remember a lot of
Yeah,
traction.
Chair and members of the commission, that is an ongoing goal, and as far as the most, I would say, progress we made on that one, because again, that's kind of staff direct, led to work on that, is we're going to have discussions with Harvest, when we implement the Harvest Park Master Plan about what the signage is going to look like at the park, and just, it's a first opportunity to revamp an entire park, so there's that signage at the Nature Center, the signage in the front there, and some of that interpretive signage. The watershed was looking at provincially giving us some funding to help with that, and those talks are happening. We're actually ramping those back up again with the watershed. So there are signage things happen, but there's just kind of as time and funding allows. So I think it's definitely still a doable goal because it's ongoing for sure.
It's been on our list for like a few years now, though. Do we still?
Well, I
feel
know
like-
the one signage I think we should really look into is when I was at Coleman Park, when they were saying, they're really concerned about having no smoking signs in our parks, because now they've also legalized marijuana, and they said people are in there smoking all this around the kids. So I think we should really aim to make sure we get those no smoking signs. That was something the residents were aiming for.
Chair, members of the commission, one thing we could do is, once the cannabis ordinance gets finalized and they've
Yeah.
got things where they need to be, we could maybe have someone come and just talk to the group, or we can review it here and talk about, park issues. I did bring that up after the playground
Yeah.
meeting, just like what kind of signage do you anticipate, with the new laws and ordinances getting in place, so.
Would we need an ordinance to put a sign up like that?
That's something I have to look into and see exactly what we would need to do and how enforceable it would be. But that's
Right.
something we can definitely pursue.
If I could add, signage is expensive, and
Yes.
viewing it and looking at it and trying to get, everything updated that you want now. And, that's hopefully inclusive for most parks, if you can do that, would be a good thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know that or not, but just throwing that out there.
sure. Absolutely.
So do we want to keep it as a goal then? Review and evaluate signage, and do we want to change the wording on it at all, or does that seem like good as is written?
To accommodate the new laws, or accommodate the new?
Do we want to get that specific? I mean, is that the only thing we care about in
Yeah.
signage?
I thought
As a
we
question.
were, part of the goal was like to modernize the signage and do like QR codes to like bring up information that's available on the website.
Right.
Yeah.
Which all goes, that's why I don't want
Yeah.
to pigeonhole it to just
Just
the
that,
new laws.
yeah.
That's a
I,
good,
I think we need to keep it broad, and we'll remember
Yeah.
that we need to address
I
that.
wonder if we could add something to, so that it doesn't seem like we're not making any progress year after year. Maybe even just something like review and evaluate current and future signage in our parks and open spaces as we, I don't know, something about like, as we're looking at the parks already, like, let's make this a point that we look at as we're looking at like Harvest, for example,
Like
right?
each new
Oh, I
park
s-
that we do.
yeah. I
Right,
see
or
what you're
something
saying.
like that.
Yeah.
Review and evaluate current and future signage
In our-
as park projects or something like that,
Yes.
on a,
Right, so that when we're looking at Harvest, we didn't talk about it at all,
Mm-hmm.
actually, when we were looking at the Harvest plans or when we were in person at Harvest, like, maybe just something so that we remember that, hey, this is something that's important to us, so let's remember to talk about that when we're looking at the Harvest plan, for example, or something.
so maybe review and evaluate current and future signage in parks.
As park projects are in process?
Well, maybe focusing on, or something that, we want to do it in general, but we certainly want to do it on
Yeah.
every new or redeveloped park. Because that's where you have the opportunity. to-
Yeah, because then next year we can say, hey, we did part of this goal because we looked
Right.
at the Harvest
Review,
plan.
right, review and like,
In some neighborhoods, maybe don't even have that concern about, there's some that are having more concern.
so maybe,
for it.
how about this, review and evaluate current and future signage as a part of park redevelopment, projects and redevelopment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yes. Okay, does anybody have any new goals that they would like to suggest?
Well, I was reading the Maplewood flyer, and someone put
I just pulled it up on my phone because I wanted to mention it
some
during this
goals in
meeting.
there that looked like things that we should add.
It was the mayor who wrote. She talked about park makeovers, implementing Harvest Parks Master Plan, Coleman new playground, Hazelwood master planning starting, and replacing the Nature Center boardwalk is what she specifically mentioned.
Those were, part of her article that was taken from the CIP projects that were mentioned in the, so that's why those are mentioned, because those were all CIP projects coming up for 2025. So those are,
Well, we should look at those and see which ones we're really going to do
yeah.
and add them
Yeah, and I believe
goals.
our finance director did mention all those, and we talked about those at the November meeting when he did the CIP review. We had brought all those up. But yeah,
So how would we want to word those goals then?
well, you could change goal number 1 if you want to be more specific for, instead of just say park improvement plans, you could maybe address it, since you're taking out park systems master plan review, and maybe make goal number 1 tie that in.
Change it to Harvest Park Master Plan?
Well, the end of the goal is to review park improvement plans. So if you're going to be reviewing the plans for those projects you just mentioned that are in the CIP, then you could, if you want to put it in the goals, you could maybe make 1 reflect that.
So change number 1 to say, review the,
2025 CIP park improvement plans. I mean,
Yeah.
if you wanted to make it specific like that.
right. I mean, I think that works.
Or you could change it and just continue to review the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan with a specific focus on Coleman and Harvest or whatever the parks. You could also change that.
Specific CIP.
Yeah.
Those items, Audra, are considered park improvement plans? The items that
Yeah,
Jason
yeah,
read off
those
of
are the
mayor's
park,
goals?
the parks CIP improvements, the capital improvement plans for parks. That would be, starting the Hazelwood Master Plan, implementing Harvest. That was in the 20, it's just an ongoing CIP project that we do. Coleman Playground, those were all part of the CIP. Those are park improvement projects.
Okay, I see. So it might be something like continue to review park improvement plans, including Coleman Park, Harris Park Plan, and those specific things.
Yep.
Right? I think that sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah. Okay, so a revamping of number 1 to add.
Do you want it to say Nature Center Boardwalk? I mean, do you want all the CIP projects listed in the goal? Is that?
Or should we just say?
You
C-
could say overarching
CIP?
2025, park improvement plans identified in the 2025 CIP.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah.
I'm fine either way. I just, if,
Identified in the CIP is less wordy, and it still technically encompasses everything.
what do you think, Craig?
Or do we want to call out specific things?
It's kind of nice to say, you did this,
Yeah.
you did this, you did this, rather than one,
Sure.
what if you get 3 out of 4 of them?
Some
let
people
me-
might not understand
yeah.
CIP, they don't know what that is.
Well, let me tweak
you
it a
s-
little bit, and I'll make sure I don't miss one, because
Okay.
we got a busy year coming
Yeah,
up. And again, if it's in the CIP, it doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen. It's a plan, and every project that's in there has to still get put in front of council, and they have to decide if they're going to vote yes or no on it, or if there's funding. And so it doesn't mean just because, I just want to say it because sometimes the CIP is confusing. They think, well, if it's in there, it's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily happen, but you have to make your best plan year after year for what you can do. So, but we can just take the projects that are planned for 2025 and put them in the goal.
good,
Sure.
love it.
I'll bring that back in February and let you guys look at that.
Okay,
I'll
sounds great.
pull it together.
Any other goals that we want to add?
I was going to ask, I guess it's kind of part of number 7. We have like updates from community groups. Do we have a running list of all the community groups listed out? Like, I'm just wondering if there's any community groups that we haven't really interfaced that exist. So I didn't know if there was any research on existing and a list made up.
There's lots of different kinds of community groups. That's why I said if there is a certain group that you as commissioners feel like you would want to hear from and value their perspective, for Parks and Recreation, then, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. We do have that clearinghouse page of all the different groups that offer services and things on our website that we created after COVID and when recreation was, recreation was, not eliminated, but we weren't offering in-house recreation programs anymore. So those are some groups that we could have come in, but it all depends, to invite them, what would be the why for them to come, so, but yeah. You can look at, so
Yeah.
if you have some ideas.
Well, I was just curious because I know that the Friends of Maplewood does a lot, and have we had them come to speak recently?
They have not come to a meeting, but they definitely can.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just was curious about
Sure.
them.
Let's
I'm
invite
actually
'em.
going to their meeting in February. I'm going to be they invited me to their meeting in February to talk about some of the things that we're doing in parks. So yeah, we could invite
Drop an
some.
invite, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
As a matter of fact, any group that wants to meet with you might be good to also
Sure.
come in front of us.
Sure. That's good.
Anyone have anything else at the moment? Pretty sure we can add to, if somebody thinks
Sure.
of something before the next meeting or,
Yeah, and that's why we always like to take 2 meetings, so you don't just have to decide
Right.
now. I'll take these notes that I had and tweak what I think that I heard you say, and then we'll review them again in February, and we
Okay.
can always add and change, and then if we're comfortable, we can improve them in February. You can wait till March if you have to, but usually it works out by this February meeting that you get a good set of goals and.
all right? So we can do some thinking, and if anybody comes up with some brilliant goal that we need to add, we can do that in February and still be good to go. Okay.
Sounds good.
Was this the meeting that we were not going to talk about 5, or this one, we are?
We are,
Okay, okay. Letter F, unfinished business. We will discuss the Parks Master Plan, Chapter 5 review.
This is just, and like I said, we can decide if we want to, if you want to take a look at Chapter 6, it's the toolkit for how to use the plan implementation. If you feel that's valuable to go over, we can absolutely do this, but this is like the last chapter of the plan, and it's timely for our meeting for next week, or next month, and it's called the strategic plan. And so I'm going to do my best not to, I always say I'm not going to read it word for word, but it's hard not to when you're reviewing the whole thing, but I'm just going to try to give the overview. Hopefully you were able to take a look at it in your packet. But this was about Parks and Recreation's goal is to provide for play of many types for many people. And this chapter offers specific detail on how to accomplish that goal. And it covers Parks and Recreation facilities, trails, natural areas and greenways, programs, and arts and culture. So these were all the facets of Park and Recreation as a whole. And again, this plan was adopted in 2015, so it is 10 years old. So the recommendations and strategies identified here were the strategies and goals at the time 10 years ago. So, and you'll notice as we go along, things have changed in the department somewhat. Some things have stayed the same, but. So under underlying values, this chapter's recommendations are, built on the foundation of 2 underlining goals for Maplewood's Parks and Recreation System, which were to provide a safe and welcoming environment and environmental sustainability. And so some of the things that we were looking at would be to provide a safe and welcoming environment for parks and recreation programs is fundamental, and that would encompass conducting ongoing maintenance like regular mowing, trash pickup, replacing equipment at the end of its life cycle, which is why we're trying to get, hard courts and playgrounds replaced that are old. Some of them are the original playgrounds still. We're almost to the end of the list, but we still have a few. Adding basic amenities such as ADA accessibilities, shade, restrooms, and water, activities that meet the needs and interests of Maplewood's increasingly diverse population, ensuring recreation opportunities are financially accessible, and integrating art into the park system. So those were some of the main things that were discussed back when we were putting the plan together. And some of the examples of environmental leadership were preserving natural open spaces, managing natural resources, innovating construction practices and material selection, integrating natural areas into more active parks, supporting walking and biking as alternatives to automobile use, and educating through demonstration, art, programs, and service learning. And, as you know from Carol, when she was at our last meeting, when she updated you, she gave you that very thorough update on all the natural resource management that she's been doing and all the different projects that we don't hear about every day. The one that is, I will say, on the list that's probably the least that's is come into fruition is the art piece. The arts and culture piece is one that was on its way, and then it, with COVID, and then when our department was restructured, that one kind of was on hold. So that's something we definitely as we move into a new plan, or even just as a commission talk about it, it's like that would be something to revisit. You know, if we really want to incorporate art into our parks, what's that going to, and our open spaces and preserves, what does that look like, and how do we go about doing that? So, any questions on that? See if I can. There we go. And then on to trails. Trails are one of the most desired and economical park amenities, and again, very important. They bring the park system closer to every resident, offer transportation alternatives, and support a healthy, active population. And we spent quite a lot of time when we put the plan together on, you know, what people are looking for and what would be the priorities, and the recommendations that we came up with at that time were creating a safe, multi-purpose, all-season, non-motorized trail system throughout the city. And then create a priority network that makes north-south and east-west connections for pedestrians and bicyclists. Sorry, that's a tough word for me. Establish a system of routes that highlight the natural area greenways. Expand the trail network in parks and preserves. And continue coordination between the Parks and Recreation and Public Works Department. We are now one department, so that coordination is stronger than ever. On the expansion of non-motorized transportation system. And I will say, like when they do street projects now, a priority is always they look at, you know, having living streets, or how they can add a trail, how they can add sidewalks, if they can narrow the streets and make them more pedestrian and friendly for cyclists. And I don't know if any commissioners have any comments on that, or what they've seen as far as, you know, we'll talk more about it at our February meeting, but it is definitely a priority for the city. Okay. And then 6 was support multimodal transportation. And this just shows, back when it was the Rush Line, you can see how, this is 10 years ago, Rush Line, which was the purple line, and it just had what was happening at the current time. So it is kind of fascinating sometimes to go back and see what 10 years ago was the newest information. And then this has proposed pedestrian bicycle network, and it has the key. It's a little hard to read the map without having it in front of you, but it just shows the existing network, proposed existing regional trails, and when our Public Works Director comes next month, he'll be able to give you the updated map. So this is what it was 10 years ago, but he'll have current maps showing what these connections actually look like now. And this was some more of the pedestrian network priority improvements. So anything that had the highlighted yellow, those are what we considered priority corridors, connections that we wanted to make first and that were the most important that we identified. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Okay, and then on to natural areas and greenways. Maplewood residents place a high value on environmental health, preserving natural open spaces, and linking open spaces throughout the city. The Parks and Recreation and Public Works departments are in a position to exemplify environmental leadership through education, demonstration, design, maintenance, and operations. Continued investment in natural areas will help keep Maplewood's environment healthy. And the recommendations then were to establish community preserves as integrated multi-purpose areas set aside for preserving natural resources, connecting people to nature, and providing educational programming and historical interpretation. And the second was to maintain neighborhood preserves as an area set aside for the preservation of natural resources and to connect people with nature. 3 was retain scenic areas, landscape buffers, and drainage ways as other open space areas that are minimally maintained and have no maintained public trails. Create a protected ecological area overlay that identifies areas within the parks, preserves, and open spaces that have high-quality plant communities and wildlife habitat. Actively preserve, restore, and manage these areas. And then maintain the Nature Center as a community hub for environmental stewardship and for nature-based programming. And Russell, I don't know how aware you are, being a Maplewood resident, you might already be aware, but there were some major changes to the Nature Center in 2020. During COVID, we actually closed the Nature Center for a year. Our naturalists were laid off, and there were some other employees in our Parks Department that were laid off as well. So we had to regroup, and now what has happened since then, we did set up, we have some educational programming that our Natural Resources Coordinator offers our environmental planner, the park staff. We have other groups that come and do things, but we don't have naturalists on site at the Nature Center offering programs regularly, but we are officed out of there. My office is now at the Nature Center, and 3 other staff are as well. The building is open, not on weekends currently, but it is open during the week, and we do have other groups come in, like the Lions, and anyone else that, you know, wants to come in, like 4-H or other groups come in and do some programming there, but it's still a work in progress of what the Nature Center is going to look like going forward. But that was a big change after this plan was created. And so this is the preserves, again, sorry the map's small, but it'll show existing preserved trails, proposed trails, the community preserves, neighborhood preserves versus city parks, then regional and county parks, and then park service areas on this map. Okay, and number 6 was promote the natural area greenways by establishing routes through Maplewood's 4 greenways. And then 7 was integrate natural resource management into parks and preserves, and quite a few strategies for how to do that. And then here are the greenway routes. There's the Holloway Beaver, the Phelan Casey, Battle Creek, and then Fish Creek down on the very south end. So any questions before I move on to arts and culture? Sorry, oops. Okay. And arts and culture, and like I said, this is the one that we still have some work to do. But at the time when this plan was created, the city was uniquely poised to grow a sustainable arts and culture program over the next 20 years, building on its strong cultural and transportation history, extensive parks and recreation system, potential for future development, and a growing minority population that is rich with cultural traditions. Maplewood is also situated close to a booming Twin Cities art community that offers an enormous talent pool and experienced support services. And so the goal at that time was to either get a Maplewood Arts Council or a nonprofit going or something similar like Friends of Maplewood Nature, but for the arts. That has not happened yet, but that was a goal for the future that that the community let us know that they were interested in and that was supported. So the recommendations that came out of that were establish funding to support a sustainable public art program for Maplewood Parks, establish a public art commissioning plan for priority parks, trails, and public facilities, incorporate art into the park system, and support cultural programming by diverse cultural groups seeking to use the parks. And then respond to the needs for educational programming that integrates art with the promotion of environmental stewardship and the history of Maplewood. And 6 was build awareness and appreciation for the community's history. Oops, I'm going too fast, sorry about that. So as far as art, you know, we have done some things. We had, out at Joy Park, they had a non-traditional play area that was created, and then we actually commissioned an artist to create the creature that's out there. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's the water creature as part of the play area, and there were some unusual plantings and things that you don't normally see. And then we did a non-traditional small shelter that's out there. So that was kind of a foray into the arts in the park. One thing about that, while it's great to do it, it does end up being very costly when you commission like an artist to do certain things. So you don't get, you know, like play areas that are prefabricated and that kind of. You can get a lot more play for the money. So it is an investment, and so you have to get support for that. But that was our first attempt to do that in a park, and then we did a few things at Lions Park that were non-traditional as well. But there's always more that we can do.
I was going to ask, so you were mentioning earlier that there would be, like, the original thought would be to kind of develop this community group around art. So how, I guess, like, similar to Friends of Maplewood, how would that be started? Or was that part of, like, something that our group would do to spearhead that? Or?
Sure, Chair, members of the commission, good question. It wasn't exactly, you know, thought out exactly how it would do it, but it's just showing that there was, when we surveyed the community and did all this outreach, when we formed the plan, it showed people had an interest in it. We thought it was a priority and it was a need. So how it would be implemented, wasn't sure, but whether it was a grassroots organization starting in the city would help support it, or, you know, it wasn't something that staff at the time took on, and then when our department got smaller, it was definitely something that staff couldn't take on. But it didn't mean we couldn't work with them, like the Friends group, where we work in tandem with friends and kind of support each other. So just looking for opportunities for a group to start that we could give them either a place to meet or support their initiatives or help them, you know, reach out. So there's a lot of different ways, but it didn't get off the ground yet. It hasn't. It doesn't mean it can't.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And then on to programs. And again, I already did talk about the changes in our department, but back when this plan was created, we did have staff that did full-time programming, and we had in-house recreation programming, and it was very different at that time. So this was based around seeing that continue and anticipating. So you'll maybe see this and go, this is really different than what's happening now. But like any plan, you make the best plan, but then sometimes things change. And so when we go through this process again, the park systems master plan going forward, I'm sure things might look different, and we'll have to come up with new ways. But at the time, under programming, it was the need for recreation is an essential element of human biology and psychology, and a component of healthy, vital community. Recreation programs are typically pursued for enjoyment, health, skill development, enrichment, socialization, entertainment, physical fitness, and relaxation. Dynamic recreation and demographic trends mean programs need to constantly evolve. It is an exciting time for programs in Maplewood, with future recommendations focused on community-building events like 5K runs. We used to do a 5K run that raised money for the Youth Scholarship Fund. Concerts, updating multi-purpose buildings and parks to bring more programs to neighborhoods, and emphasizing outreach to diverse population groups. So, and these were the recommendations that came out of the process, and they were program for community and neighborhood gatherings, maintain and improve high-quality, diverse program offerings for all ages, children's, teens, adults, and seniors, ensure equitable access to programs. I can give you an update on that. Like I said, our programming has changed in how we do things, and we have outside groups that come in, and we try to get them to come and offer programs in Maplewood. But we still do have our scholarship fund. We still have money in it. And in 2024, we worked with them, so even though Rev Sports did a lot of the sports programming, we still would offer scholarships to Maplewood residents. And in 2024, we gave out $800 worth of scholarships to students that took part in their programs. And so that was just for 2024. And when someone had asked me last meeting, I don't know, Craig, if it was you, or who asked what our cut, maybe it was Vicki, from Rev Sports, how the profit sharing, and I wasn't 100% sure, but we don't charge them anything to offer the programs. We offer the space, but we do get 20% of whatever registration fees they take in for a program. We do get that money, and so that can help us keep our scholarship fund going, and we're able to offer that. So,
Do we have any way of telling what kind of records of how many kids are involved now versus the way it used to be when we didn't contract out to like Rev Sports, how we did it right in Maplewood?
sure.
I'm curious to know.
We could compare apples to apples programs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we don't offer the same things that we did before, but
I'm just wondering if we have enough kids. I feel like kids just aren't getting involved anymore, and I really worry about that.
sure. But I could get the Rev Sports numbers when Neil comes to give you the
Yeah.
update. He can provide those numbers of just what registration looks like, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the community events seem awesome. We have a lot of people involved, but I just, day-to-day sports and stuff, it just seems like you don't see the kids out there as much as they used to, and I think that hurts our community if they're not getting involved in stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. And this was just a chart on economic influences on program delivery. So 4 was promote performance, arts, and cultural events in parks and at recreation facilities. At one time, they were talking about, and that's what the movies in the park. I know, Terry, you were very fond of those. We used to do
They were
this at the
great.
farm, and
Let's bring that back.
Yeah,
Or have a music series.
yeah.
yeah.
and I'd be willing to help out if you need people there to help out. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 was connect people with nature, including land, water, and wildlife resources, and empower them to be stewards of the environment. Respond to changing recreation trends and ensure quality programming. Use volunteers and service learning programs to support recreational, arts, cultural, and natural resources management programming. And we are actively recruiting volunteers and service learning all the time, and that's one area where that has continued to thrive with our natural resource management. We have, with working with Century College, Great River Greening, and some of our other groups, and working with Urban Roots, like we've been able to still get quite a lot accomplished with our volunteers. In fact, we wouldn't be anywhere near as close to accomplishing what we have without them. So that has been great. We're still trying to recruit more volunteers for special events and things like that. And we've gotten fairly good response from the community. Like at the Friday Fall Festival, we had the youth sports associations came and volunteered, including the rugby group. So volunteers are hugely important to us, and they help us get a lot more done than we could normally do with a small department. So we appreciate that. See, 8 is strengthen the Maplewood Community Center as the indoor recreational culture and arts hub for the community. And we still do support the YMCA. It's now the YMCA, but we work hand in hand with them, and we support them in their programs and their initiatives. And so that continues to be a good partnership. 9 was improve outreach to diverse populations and minority groups. And we do that through Parks and Recreation, but we also, our Public Safety Department does a really good job of helping with that community outreach. And so that's been another department in the city that's really done a good job in helping us get that work done, which is very important. Become the go-to Parks and Recreation clearinghouse, and we try, like I said, that website that we have, we try to put opportunities, and we list all the organizations, the sports groups and things in the city. So if we aren't offering it ourselves, that you can find on our website these other departments and go to their sites. So if they're updating, we don't have any control over whether they update or not, but if we have the link, we put it on there like a clearinghouse to help people get connected to programs. But if there's a group that we don't have on there and you think you'd like us to add it, just let us know, and we can always just add it to our website for sure. And then provide opportunities for community involvement in the design, development, and implementation of parks and recreation. And that's where you help, having our student commissioners. Just when we go out to those neighborhood meetings, for like playground design or whatever, we still make sure to make that a priority so that they can give us some feedback. And then make sustainability, education, outreach a priority. And so we still do offer, I know we offered buckthorn removal classes, we offered tree pruning, they did invasive species identification. So a lot of more of the nature and environmental programming is what we've done recently, but there's always more, and we're always asking if 4-H or even the school district community has something they want to offer and they want to use the nature center or one of our parks to implement something. We're like, partner with us. We'll give you the space. We'll help you out. We'll get the word out. Just let us know. And there's a snowshoer. We haven't been able to snowshoe yet, but we have all the snowshoes thanks to the Friends of Maplewood Nature out at the Nature Center. And we had a group that tentatively has scheduled a snowshoe outing for their school. They're going to come in a couple different waves. So if we have the snow, they're going to come. So you can sell them at North if you guys ever want to take a senior fun day and come over. If there's at least 4 inches of snow, you can come use the snowshoes and hang out with us at the Nature Center. Yeah. All right, and with that is chapter 5 end of it. So we've reviewed the entire master plan except for the toolkit already. So we've made good progress.
Any questions, comments? Okay. Do we have any visitor presentations? Doesn't look like it. Commissioner presentations?
Can I just circle back really quickly to the student commissioner terms?
Sure.
I was thinking that it might make sense if Audra, maybe you could speak to them privately, the students, to see if they're interested in continuing their terms. And then maybe we can decide afterwards if it makes sense to start a new term in September or not, and if we
Sure.
might need to start the term earlier if we don't have any more student commissioners after March.
Sure, that's a great point. We can always bring it back to the February meeting.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you for that. It's a good suggestion.
One more, one more thing to add to that. I will say if we have the student commissioners come in September, I think we should still encourage them to attend maybe like the summer events too as well.
That's a great point. Thanks, Mallory.
Staff presentations.
I just have one update for the commission. This year, for the Wakefield building rentals, it's always, we open them up in January for the new year, and June, especially the first 3 weeks in June, are always those weekends for grad parties, whatever, they're always the dates everybody wants, and so we tried a lottery this year, just to try to make it more equitable and fair, and so we did a lottery that, they opened up at 12:01, a.m. You could submit your application, and they would just have a timestamp on them, and all the applicants would get them in, but they would have the same, they didn't have to be the first one, so they could submit their application. We entered them into a lottery for the dates, and the update was, on January 6th, we opened the lottery window from March through December, and we knew it would just be June and July would be really, really hot. Even August was too. And the applications we received on the 6th, there were 21 applications received, and they wanted pretty much a lot of the same days. 10 of them ended up having to go into random lotteries. 6 of the applicants did not get one of their preferred or backup dates, and of those 4, they chose new dates. So there were only 2 people we weren't able to accommodate with dates. So it worked much better than it did the year before, when it would be like everybody's like, but I couldn't mail it and I couldn't. So it was just, it worked out well. So we're going to continue to do that. So it's hard when you just have the one building and they all want the same weekends. And then we steered people toward Fridays, and they realized a Friday might not be a bad day for a grad party too. So
And where do they find the rental, what it costs and everything information?
we have
It's
a
on-
whole application packet on our website, and
Okay.
if they email Recreation Online or call us, or email us, we send it to them. We have, it has all the rates, it has the time, and then it has the application process and all of that information.
Okay.
And Neil responds almost immediately.
Yep.
Because I had my daughter's birthday party at a park, and he was right on the email responses with all my questions, and so it works out really well that way.
Yeah.
Audra, since we know that there's such high demand, have there been discussions of looking or planning for more community buildings like that?
Not recently, but in the past, yes, there were. Wakefield was going to be the first foray into a community building, but one thing is with Harvest Park, the one shelter there is fairly large. The largest one, if we do end up building that, and if it had the restrooms, that could be an alternative. It wouldn't be the building necessarily, but it would be a really nice place for something like that. So we're always trying to add more facilities to our system, for sure.
We could come up with a marketing plan to let people know how great our other parks are as options.
Right?
Wakefield was obviously booked straight up for my daughter's birthday, and we went to a different park, and it was really great. It was amazing. It didn't have a building, but it had restroom facilities, and it was nice outside, so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, yep, this has been good. We've had the rinks open twice as long as they were last year already. Because I think we only got 6 days of warming houses last year. Yeah, so and now that we have a little snow, we're able to build the berm around, so the loop at Wakefield, the skating loop around the rinks, they're hard at work flooding that, so. It's gonna warm up tomorrow and Friday a little bit, but then it's gonna get really cold again, so. So yeah, good skating. And that's all I have.
Okay, if that's all we got, then I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everybody.